And of course, we're back on right now. Welcome.
So
That's right. Welcome. Sports Bag Bros back on it. And of course, it's after Monday Night Football. We already know what the big news is. We don't even got to really dive into it. It's just the big news, whether it's your team or not. The New York Jets happen to be on the set. Well, even the Green Bay Packers, because I saw videos of people clapping allegedly because Aaron Rodgers went down. We know what the story is.
yeah, that's very unfortunate for the Jets. I don't know if that's unfortunate for us because that was our MVP pick. Maybe we jinxed him. Maybe I jinxed him or you jinxed him. I don't know. Um, Hey, but props to Wilson coming in and getting the dub last night. He had some help from Josh Allen, but they were down and they took the lead late, and that punt return was sick, man. To end a walk off like that.
Yeah, Xavier Gibson just went out there and did his thing. During the Hard Knocks segment, they were talking about how they kind of scared him into thinking he didn't make the team. He made the team, and they said you're going to do big things for this team. Shoot, he got off to a quick start. He did big things for the team. What a way to walk it off. One thing to hit a home run in baseball, but to end a game of that magnitude based on all of the eyes on you on Monday Night Football on a day like 9/11 and a commemorative day like that, you look like you have someone like that blow it and walk it off on a punt return of all things, in which, of course, when something like that happens, you hear about what probably should have been thrown, such as a flag. They're talking about an
He did
illegal
kick him. He
judgment.
did kick him, man. He
But
threw his leg.
was that inadvertent because he just dove? Was it inadvertent or was
No,
it one of these
I
intentional
don't think it
damage?
was. But I don't think it would have mattered. They would have had great field position anyway, a first down or two. They kicked the field goal to win.
Yeah, field goal to win, but I guess keeping with the drama, it ended the way it did. And well, we know. And you gave props to Zach Wilson. I don't necessarily give props to Zach Wilson for the win. Kind of like, years ago when Mark Sanchez just happened to be the quarterback of the Jets who had one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Hey, he could have had 3 picks and gave the game away too. So, I mean, give
But
him
you know what?
some credit.
But those 3 picks came from a defense that had shown it can make you throw those picks in the past. This is a hell of a defense as we've seen against the run. I think they were out there way too long, which you probably would see yourself, when you're doing 3 and outs and Zach Wilson is now your quarterback for the rest of the game. The offense didn't do too much of anything other than Brees Hall coming back from an ACL, busting an 88-yarder, and as you probably could imagine, didn't have the stamina to get it over the finish line, but he got that huge run, huge run. In
Got
fact,
him close.
adding it to his career totals, he's averaging 6.6 yards for his career now, considering he went down early last season, and now this season breaks a huge one like that, got close, got a field goal out of it, which is ridiculous. But Zach Wilson, the touchdown that he did throw to Garrett Wilson, Wilson and Wilson sound like a law firm, but the pass that he did throw was Wilson blocking the interception from happening, tipping it to himself for a touchdown. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, that was a hell of a catch, man. I
Oh,
watched it. I was
absolutely.
like, oh snap, that was a fucking great catch. I mean, but like I said, he could have had a very bad night and given that game away. I think you gotta give him a little bit of credit. He wasn't expecting to play. He come in cold. I'm not saying he played great or he's the answer. Obviously they're making calls trying to find a replacement, but for last night, and give him a little credit.
Well, you know what? I'm looking at what the coaches had to do. With Hackett had to change the play calling, obviously, because the game plan was for Aaron Rodgers to be out there, call plays at the line, be the leader that he is, being the veteran that he is for all of these years he's been in the league. And they just called a very basic game. There were things they just could not do because of Zach Wilson. And given the opportunity, I think he blows the game. But look, I'll take the win any way I can get it. The running game was very good. The defense was spectacular. Five sacks. We got the interceptions. I mean, wow. But Aaron Rodgers, this is the big story. With all of that going on, it's still Aaron Rodgers, the big story. All of the waiting, all of the anticipation. The reason why the Jets got 6 days or 6 primetime nights on the NFL, especially in Monday Night Football, first Monday night of the season on 9/11, and then this happens. I mean, man, so many stories are coming out about how he didn't like the Jets play calling because the cut blocking, and then he ends up getting hurt on a play where there was cut blocking. Man, so many stories to this. Initially, I was hoping it was an ankle and Achilles, but at that age, is an Achilles that surprising?
No, it's not. When I saw the replay, the angle of his foot, I said, man, he didn't roll his ankle. That could be an Achilles. And unfortunately, that's what it is. He's obviously done for this season. We don't know what kind of shape he'll be able to come back being 41 next year. Is it 40 or
He'll be
41?
40. He's 39 right now.
Okay, he'll be 40. It's tough to come back from injuries like that. I mean,
Absolutely.
look at KD. He wasn't himself for
And he was younger,
two
a lot younger.
seasons. Yeah, for pretty much 2 seasons, right? So, obviously, quarterback isn't the same as running up and down the court in the NBA, but you still need some mobility, or you're gonna be a statue back there getting thrown around a lot.
Yeah, and with Aaron Rodgers, the Achilles being an older player, I remember how it happens for other players. I mean, when you're 35 years old, I mean, scientifically, I guess medically, because I've read upon it, I'm not a doctor, I'm not even playing one here, but the blood flow to the Achilles tendon is less than it would be if you were younger. And it showed, there's an opportunity to hurt yourself more as an older person. Well, he hit that number. He's not at 35, he's at 39, and he gets injured. Now, does he come back from it? As you said, he's going to need some mobility. He's been known for having some mobility. He doesn't have to be a so-called athletic quarterback. We've seen it for years. He's been great as he's been without being known as a Lamar Jackson, but someone who has pocket awareness, who knows where to move, how to move, and he takes chances when he needs to take them. But even if you take that part of his game out, with this Jets team and the way it's put together defensively specifically, he doesn't even have to be great that we know him as. He doesn't even necessarily have to be good. He has to be just respectable. That's how good that defense is. And being respectable is better than what the Jets had with 3 quarterbacks last season. And we just need someone who can throw the ball forward with a legitimate intent of completing the pass. We don't have that right now with Zach Wilson.
So, who would you like for them to sign?
You know what? The first person I thought about was Carson Wentz. I understand what Carson Wentz has gone through, but once upon a time, Carson Wentz was doing the right thing. Once upon a time, he was the face of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it's a lot of mental for him, for him to get back and try to be the player he once was. I know the injury had something to do with it. Another guy who had an injury, not an Achilles, but a knee, but he's played well enough, and he's played better than Zach Wilson. I want better than Zach Wilson out there because I believe a little bit better than Zach Wilson is enough for this defense to get the rest that it needs, even if it's minimal, but it can't be less than what Zach provides. And for them to get after it the way they do, and for him to give us the minimum amount. And we're seeing the running game. We're seeing the duel between Dalvin Cook and now with Breece Hall coming back. He is that guy. He says he is that guy. Last year when I saw him, I watched him in college, 2-time All-American from Iowa State. They hadn't had an All-American running back since Troy Davis. I mean, not a bad thing, but Troy Davis, who didn't go do well in the NFL or even stay around in the NFL, this guy's legitimately the goods. He does well last season. He comes back after a knee injury and does something that only pretty much someone like Adrian Peterson was able to do after a knee injury, play a big game.
So what do you think about all this talk about the turf caused the injury? I mean, my thing is field turf is better than AstroTurf.
Yes, it is.
And it's Chicago Soldier Field, man. You come late November, December for those games, it's basically painted dirt.
The same thing.
Cold cities, man, that grass is not going to grow, man. So what's the alternative to field turf?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. This is always the time where the oldies or even some of the more recent players talk about the turf and they're just hating the turf. They hate anything synthetic. The NFL is always going to go with something that helps maximize what players come with: speed. They want to maximize the athleticism, the speed, and that's exactly what they do when they use that turf, whether it's the old school turf, the AstroTurf, or this next turf. But I don't think it was the turf. If it happens in dirt, does it do the same thing? Does he step the same way? there've been Achilles injuries on grass before. So I don't know. I mean,
Sure.
really, I just don't understand. I mean, I can see why it's getting the blame because it is synthetic, but last night I just don't see it. And as you said, when he had first gotten hurt, I didn't even think about Achilles. I thought about the ankle. I was like, man, it didn't look like an ankle. It didn't look. I didn't even think about Achilles. I should have, but I'm thinking ankle. Man, you know what? Probably some kind of old man sprain. You know, he's tough. He'll get it back. He'll come back in the second half. And then when
Yeah,
they started
I
taking
thought
replays
his
over,
ankle. I thought the player rolled over on his ankle, but when I saw the replay, because I missed the start of the game, when I
mm-hmm.
saw the replay, I was like, "Oh, he didn't even turn it. He didn't roll on it." I said, "That must be an Achilles," because you can see the way his foot was locked into the turf, and it seemed like his leg kind of stretched. I was like, "Oh, that's probably an Achilles." So that's what I thought.
See, even with the replay over and over, I'm still trying to figure out how did he hurt his ankle? How did he hurt his ankle? And I'm still thinking, like, okay, he's an older player. Maybe he tweaked something in the ankle. Not even thinking about the Achilles and knowing, at least from what I've read about the Achilles since Vinny Testaverde and even Kobe Bryant, you know, players like that, older players who had Achilles injuries. And I still didn't think about it. And then this, as the night went on, because things were flowing, people mentioned an Achilles. I was like, damn, that probably is going to be it. You
Yeah,
know, and boom, that's it.
yeah, it's unfortunate, but at least they got the W last night. It's going to be interesting to see who they bring in. Are they going to have a couple tryouts, or they're just going to sign somebody? Will they trade for someone who's even available in a trade? I know. You probably would like Jameis Winston.
Oh, I'll take Jameis Winston. I would take Jameis Winston. He throws a lot of picks, but that guy gets a lot of yards. And with the weapons he has, I think he's open for a lot of yards. And I'll be that would be a trade, but then the Jets would be so deep. If there's a positive, I guess a silver lining. At least the Jets don't have to give up these premium draft picks because of the trade they made with him. He had to play, I think, what 85 or 65 or 85% of the plays for them to get the pick. You know, obviously a conditional premium pick. Well, he's not playing this year, so he
That's
get to
out the
keep the pick.
door.
You know what I mean? So yeah, someone's getting screwed. But I think some Green Bay fans, as malicious as some of them may be, and probably upset that he had left, and the way he had left, you know, they were clapping. I mean, I've seen video of them clapping. You know, it could have been some edited thing of them clapping about something completely different, but Aaron Rodgers is on the screen, one of those things. But you know,
I'm sure.
whoever does that for an
I'm
injury like
sure.
that,
I'm
ridiculous.
sure there's a bunch of a holes out there, but that's not the majority.
Oh, absolutely not. Green Bay fans are known for being rabid fans, being great fans. You know, charter members of the NFL, along with the Chicago Bears. We already know. You know, you have your good days and bad days, but the fans are pissed off at the players, but the fans are still going to be there for their team. If they're long suffering, they're going to suffer with their team. You know, it's like we could talk about our brother. You can't talk about our brother. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a huge deal for the Jets because, like you ask, who's out there? My choice would be Carson Wentz. Someone even talked about Philip Rivers coming in. Bro, the dude hasn't played forever.
Well,
And
I
then
don't
I
know about
also heard
that
about
one.
Cam Newton. That's another player I don't want. Cam Newton. He's been going down here with every opportunity he has gotten. I believe he's 13 and 23 in his last 4 seasons. And I mean, he hasn't been over 500 in terms of touchdown to interception ratio in 3 seasons. Bro, nah, not him. Not him. We got Zach Wilson. What do we need him for?
Yeah, I mean, Cam's doing the podcast thing now. I don't know. He'd have to come up from behind the microphone.
Yeah, but he's still a competitor. And dollar speak, the Jets are desperate. I don't know if they can pay him a whole bunch of money because I don't really know the salary cap situation we have going on right now with people making, you know, like if Aaron Rodgers taking a pay cut he took, you know, in order to come and have other players come on board. Yeah, that's the way it ends. And I think, you know, there's some people talking about he will never play again. And I don't think that's outside of reality. He made at this age, that injury, bro.
It's just hilarious. The pretty much the first update I saw was Colin Kaepernick's agent reaches out to the Jets.
Oh, it was a
I did
meme.
not even think about Colin Kaepernick. I'm like,
And I'm
I'm
not
sorry.
either.
Huh?
And I'm not either. Cam
Oh,
Newton, man.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure he should have been blackballed. Well, no, he should not have been blackballed, but his play had dropped also. but I think he's better than some of the QBs, or he was better last time he played than some of the QBs in the league now. But it's been what, like 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's been so long,
Let it
man.
go, let it go, let it go.
You have position guys who are out for a year or maybe two, and they come back and struggle. So let alone a quarterback who has all of those elements of timing and being out there, identifying defenses and knowing how to pick up the speed of the game. Blackball Colin Kaepernick to a degree, I believe, only because he made it so he could get blackballed because he did have an opportunity with the 49ers. He's been offered contracts. He chose to opt out. I mean, hey, if other teams don't want to take you, is it them? And if they don't want to deal with what he brings to the table, that's you take a player like that in its entirety. This is the social media age, so you would like the skill set, which was diminishing hugely. He couldn't run the way he used to run because of injuries. He was beaten out fair and square by Blaine Gabbert. That's how all of this taking a knee thing became an issue. He was upset about not being able to beat out Blaine Gabbert, man, in the preseason game. Blaine was a bust of his own. But this, of course, is another argument for another day. But Cam Newton, Carson Wentz for me, Jameis Winston would be the premium pick for me. But that would have to be a trade scenario with him being in New Orleans right now. So what more for Aaron Rodgers? The game, the way it ended, kind of took a lot of people out of the doldrums, but then back to reality the next day.
Right. I mean, how could you not get excited after that walk-off touchdown? And like I said, they were behind and they came back, took the lead. Credit to Allen. He was having a bad night. Drove him down there, got the game time field goal. But they couldn't do anything in overtime, and Gibson took the punt to the house. I mean, that's an exciting ending right there. So, I mean, Jets fans had to be ecstatic. How
Oh,
could they
God,
not be? But again, Tuesday morning, reality sets in. Damn.
Yep. The reality sets in, and that reality is Zach Wilson is your quarterback. That's the reality. You want to know, and this is the worst want to know feeling you would have. This is the hangover that you would have after a Monday night win of that magnitude, and you're still feeling bad on Tuesday morning, and then Tuesday night, and then the rest of the week as you see this thing go on. Now, most quarterbacks that we've spoken about start getting it together in their third season. This is Zach Wilson's third season in the NFL. And he didn't show any improvement yesterday while he was out there. I'm always hoping that he does something that gives me some type of hope that he's moving forward. Now, he's never going to be, in my opinion, obviously, even what Aaron Rodgers is right now as an injured player. He's never going to be that. But be something suffice, something that the team can rely on and put together with their running game. And, of course, the defense can lead the team. Teams can win with defense. We've seen it in the past when Baltimore won with the defense when the quarterback was mediocre. Do the Jets have that kind of defense? Not piece-wise, maybe, possibly, but not like that. But it's close. So
Well, if they can get that running game going, that will help out immensely. If they're not able to get anyone, and Wilson's the quarterback, the running game is a quarterback's best friend.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you would think he would play better because of yesterday's running game. Yesterday's running game was fantastic, and he still played like he did. And with the play he had made, he had thrown an interception. And
yeah, but now they have time, to come up with different packages and plays for him. More geared towards his style of play.
They've done it for 2 years. This is the third year.
I'm just saying, the offense was geared for Aaron Rodgers. Hey, it's wide open now. We're in the gas. We're going 100 miles an hour. Whoa, pump the brakes. We got Wilson back.
Yeah, right. Pump the brakes, crash into the wall. Right now, I'm hoping Wilson.
I'm just saying they're going to try and put him in positions to succeed. They're not going to, they know he's not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, of course. They've tried that in year one. They've tried that in year two. And now he's in year three. He's done most of the game yesterday with the exception of a couple of snaps. And he's still looking a lot like he's a deer in headlights as a rookie. That was killing me. At least Carson Wentz, someone who's a free agent, could come in and pick up the
Buffalo's
offense.
defense is good too, though.
Buffalo's defense is good.
Maybe lesser team, he might show out a little bit.
You're right. You know what? You're right. But I've seen him do it. You know what? The reason why I watched him do this for so long, for the time he's been there, a game is too long for me with him now going into a third season. But yeah, we can't make this all about the Jets, but that was crazy. But Xavier Gibson fixing it up the way he did, settling it the way he did. The Jets win that one. Players like him, they made a story out of him on Hard Knocks. They talk about him coming out of Stephen F. Austin. He was supposed to go to SMU, but he flipped on them because they wanted him to be a cornerback. He wanted to do more offense. Stephen F. Austin gave him that opportunity. He played there 4 years, and here he is. I mean, the WAC played the year 2 years in a row. Definitely a talent out there, but he made the team, and now he's doing some big things with the Jets as they said he would. So yeah, hopefully the team can come together. Hopefully Hackett and the offense can put something together for Zach Wilson in his third season. I'll keep saying that, his third season. I'm trying to force him to do something different than he's done the 2 previous seasons, which is improve. Not a whole lot, improve. Throw it with a real intent to complete a pass. But that's what we're talking about right now.
You sound like me now, Justin Fields. I want to see some improvement. I didn't see any on Sunday.
Exactly. And they're all from the same draft. That's from this. Mac Jones, bro, I'll take Mac Jones. I wanted him anyway. I know the Jets blew it because they won a couple of games at the end of the season, and so they missed out on the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. And we see what he's done with the Jaguars in 2 years, now going into his third year, starting off 1-0. And we've seen Mac Jones kind of go on again, off again, but he has offensive coordinator problems because he did do well in his rookie year. And then you had other quarterbacks going in the same round, Trey Lance. Well, we see what happened with that one. So the Jets aren't the only one making bad decisions. If they didn't take Zach Wilson, they get Trey Lance, and we're back in the same spot. But, wow.
Pretty much.
So was signing Rodgers a bad thing?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's just dumb luck. He got injured first game. I don't think it was bad. He's a top tier quarterback. You got a top tier defense. You're taking a shot. It's either Rodgers or who? Wilson, the guy you don't like.
Oh yeah.
So exactly. Yeah, was it a good move? Yes. Just good moves don't always work sometimes.
Well, and initially I wanted Derek Carr. I thought he was that young guy who gave us just enough. I don't think he's special, but he's decent enough. He's better than Trent Dilfer was, and he's good enough with that defense and that running game to do some things. And he's had pretty solid games before. And so that's the one I wanted going into this until Aaron Rodgers became an option. And I was like, you know what? It looks like the Jets are going to do what the hell they want to do. They're not listening to me anymore. They never did. So why start now? So Aaron Rodgers is here. He was here. Now he's not. Zach Wilson, who I didn't want, is here. And hopefully he won't be after this season. But nevertheless, that's how you close the game on Monday Night Football. And, we take it to a little bit of a little more solemn. Mike Williams, a former NFL player, if you know what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, passes away at a construction site doing a job. He was on a job. There is life after the NFL. You don't automatically become an analyst on television. The money you get, if it's not a lot, you probably don't invest it well, or even if you do, you still have to make a living. And he made a living doing construction. He got injured on the job, and according to his 8-year-old daughter, he was paralyzed or partially paralyzed. So he was on life support and then off of life support. Now he passed away, 36 years old.
Sad situation, man. 36 years old. Sports world loses another young guy. How many times do we have to talk about people passing way before their time, man?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I read what happened. I don't remember exactly what happened. I know he got hit in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, that's just sad, man. Very sad.
Yeah, it is. And, man, prayers out to his family. It seems so cliche. It seems like every time we do some type of a show, whether it's a NFL player, former NFL player, or college player, and sometimes even high school players, somebody's getting condolences, man. It's like we should have like a eulogy section on here. And not even in a way to be funny, but the way it's been going. Since we've come on in May, this is what's been going on. People have been dying, men and women, just dying. Now, in this case, it was an accident, and we see how it happened. In other cases, people speculate one thing. It might have been the jab, or it might have been this. Young players having heart attacks, or young players just dropping dead with no reason, no rhyme. And this is just a player you think after the NFL, living his life, making a real living. And the hazards of occupational hazards of that were obviously more than the occupational hazards of the life in the NFL as he passes away. And that's just, well, sorry for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a reminder. Athletes, former athletes, they're humans like we are,
Yep.
and it's just unfortunate when things like that happen to someone so young. Having a young daughter. Um, like you said, prayers to his family and friends, even fans.
Yeah, and man, that's just those things are hard to move on from because you don't want to just dismiss it and minimize what it really is because someone lost a son, an uncle, a cousin, a father in this case here. He has an 8-year-old daughter, maybe even a husband or even a boyfriend, whatever, man. And he's gone for good. He enjoyed his life here, played in the NFL, had his opportunity, still making the most out of life, working a regular job. There's nothing wrong with that. There have been several people in sports was it Bob Foster was a sheriff's deputy after boxing, the former light heavyweight champion of the world. And people look at him like he's cockeyed, like, why? Because that's what he's doing. You don't have to continue in
Yeah,
the
I
sport
mean,
forever.
if he doesn't want to sit around the house, he wants to work.
Well,
If he
you gotta
wants to,
work.
yeah,
You would think it's a natural human inclination to want to work or do something until you physically can't do it. So but anyway, that's what's going on there. And going back to our football, even from Sunday, Nick Bosa, the richest defensive lineman in the country now in the NFL, he's talking about Purdy shutting up his haters. I think he's right. People were thinking that this was some type of flash in the pan for Purdy last season, whereas I think he's a legitimate player on the rise, and now he just happens to be surrounded with talent on offense and definitely a defense to complement it. Well, Joe Montana was surrounded by a lot of talent, and so was Steve Young when he came in.
I don't know if he shut up all his haters. I mean, haters gonna hate,
Hey,
but
they gotta hate. Now they have a respect when they hate
it's
on.
only it's only one game too, and he didn't throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns. But he didn't have a terrible game either. He had a good game. Um, they won easily. What happens when it's a close game? Is he going to be able to take the team down the field for that last minute score to win the game? That's when if he can do that, especially on a consistent basis, well then yeah, the haters won't have nothing to say.
Yeah,
But right now, I think it's one game. I'm not gonna say the jury's out, but I'm sure the haters still gonna hate.
that's what they do. They'll hate during the Super Bowl celebration if he wins it, gets the MVP, etc. That's just how they make their living, and don't
No, but
get paid.
sometimes they have there's a little bit of validity to the things they say, but if he's Captain Comeback and has a QBR of like 85 and 65% completion percentage, you have nothing to say against that. He's a solid, very good quarterback.
And right now, I still think that he has opportunity to continue to move up. I think he may have that star quality because they also surrounded him with quality plays as well on the offense, and then the defense can give him that chance to rest. But Brock Purdy, I think, picking up where he left off last season. Let's not act like when he didn't do well last season during the playoffs, it wasn't because of injury. It was the injury. He was happy for the injury. And he's still stuck in there. And I think he got the favor of his teammates because he played while injured. He stayed in there, toughed it out. They still lost, but going into this season, he came back sooner than expected. He showed enough in training camp to where they just thought Trey Lance, the third pick overall in the draft back in 2021, well, they needed to get him out of there and got a draft pick for it. So Brock Purdy, I think he's legitimate. But yeah, one game, of course, he could be terrible in the next game. I just think he's on the ascent.
If he has a 300-yard passing day with 3 touchdowns in the NFC Championship and they're going to the Super Bowl, that's the time to say that. Hey, what do the haters have to say now?
Well, haters are going to hate because that's their job. They don't get paid for it. They just like the job. That's why they don't mind not getting paid. But hey, talking about another player who may be a star in this league if he can stay healthy as well. Purdy was hurt last year during the playoffs. Well, Tua's hurt all the time. But Tua, right now, the odds are in his favor. It's a flowing thing. The odds are in his favor to be the MVP of the league. Right now, after one game. You know how they do this projection thing? Man, look at all these yards he's throwing for. He's on pace to throw about 30,000 yards this season. It's like baseball. hit a home run on the first day, man, he's on pace for 162 home runs.
Right. He had a big day, no doubt about it. But as you mentioned, the question is, will he be able to stay healthy? The thing about it is, everyone says once you get concussed, it's easier to get concussed again.
Mm-hmm.
So is it one good shot that he doesn't see coming, or he gets thrown down? Does he start getting a little foggy up here? That's the concern, right? So we just have to hope he stays healthy. And he's shown he can produce, man. He's a heck of a quarterback,
Yeah.
and he has weapons down there. Tyreek Hill, he's on pace for over 3,000 yards. So
PlayStation.
he won't get 2,500. I don't believe, but he might get his 2,000 that he wants. That's his goal.
Yeah, that
But
extra game.
but Tua staying healthy will have a lot to do with that too.
Yeah, and Tua, it's not even just the concussions; it's the ankle injuries, maybe a shoulder injury, maybe a hip injury. He gets these injuries. I mean, you're talking an injury prone. He's like a magnet for injuries. But Tua finally got it down in his fourth season in the NFL, doing well. And I expected him to do well. And I loved him since high school. I mean, I always look. I don't want to be a hater or act like a hater, but when he came to Alabama, I'm not even an Alabama fan. I was rooting for him over Jalen Hurts, and he outplayed Jalen Hurts even in spring practice. And that's why I was pushing for him to, this guy needs to get the opportunity. And of course, when the opportunity came, he seized it, and Jalen Hurts transferred. And now he's making his own legacy in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts doesn't need to look back. He just needs to impress himself, his city, because Philly's never impressed. But yeah, Tua, all those yards, I think if he could keep it up, he's been taking jujitsu, by the way. Now, I don't know if they have concussions, but at least he knows how to fall.
Who did they play again? Who did they play?
Who did they play? Let me see. Was it Chargers? LA Chargers? They played the Chargers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Decent defense.
Yeah, and they played out in the West Coast. Typically, you don't want to play on the West Coast this early in the season. Being an East Coast team, the 3-hour difference, going over there, being on your body clock. I thought the NFL was supposed to have done something about that years ago, not letting teams come way across the country this early in the season because of the body clock. I mean, guys are still trying to get in the groove. Let them play more in their region and then kind of transition over to that cross-country thing. But, the NFL just is the league of hypocrisy, the ones who care about CTE, so why not add another game? More opportunities to get concussed. So, yeah, that's what they're doing. And Tua, yeah, big day, of course. But who did not have a big day? Geno Smith. He didn't have a big day. Is he going to do anything of what he did last year? Got himself a nice contract. I thought he was a solid quarterback. I never thought he was going to be great. And if he were, I wish it was with the Jets when they took him in the second round of West Virginia. But 112 yards isn't going to do it, man. Luckily, Kenny Walker III, one of the best running backs in the league, definitely one of the fastest.
Yeah, I don't think very highly of Geno Smith. I mean, he's been around a while. Well, he pretty much is what we think he is, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was hoping because there were flashes when he was with the Jets, and when he didn't produce, I was like, man, Rex Ryan was there. He was more concerned about the defense, and I was hoping that Geno, had a better career than he went to the Giants. Geno's been around, but I was real happy to see him succeed, even though he wasn't a Jet playing with Seattle last year. I was glad to see him have some measure of success. What he did last year may be a bit of an aberration, but I like the fact that he's hung in there. He's never really badmouthed anybody, never been really known as a bad guy. And you like to see somebody get it. And he got his money. Now, I hope he doesn't fold his tent. And Seattle regrets giving him that money. But, yeah, I like to see him succeed. But this wasn't one of those times in which he had success. 112 yards was the reason why his team lost to the Rams, a team in which no one is really thinking much about this season, even with Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, I mean, that was a surprise on Sunday. Like I said, Geno is who we think he is, right? Who really expects big things out of Geno Smith?
Good things. Big things? Nah. Good things. Enough to get Seattle,
Well,
at least give them an opportunity at the playoffs. But we already know, and we've spoken about it with San Francisco being the best team in the NFC West. Come on. I don't think there's even a shot for anybody there. They're just playing with each other, and that's
yeah.
what it's going to come down to.
I don't know what's next on the agenda, but I just got to talk about this.
Talk about it.
Chase Claypool. We
Hmm.
know we talk about players. He has dog in him.
Yeah.
He's a different kind of dog. He's dogging it. He doesn't he doesn't block. He doesn't run routes. He doesn't catch the ball when they throw it to him. I don't know what is going on with that guy. I don't know if he doesn't want to play. Oh man, he needs to be cut right now. They've been talking about it on the radio since yesterday. What we don't understand what Chase Claypool is doing. I
Who does he
mean,
think he is? Kadarius Tony dropping balls and doing nothing, not wanting to play. But yeah, it,
he's not even running the routes. I
see,
mean, yesterday I talked about maybe Fields doesn't have trust in his wide receivers. Well, if he knows one guy's out there not even running the route, I'm sure he has zero trust in that guy.
I just can't see how someone as a professional could dog it. We talked
Right.
about Randy Moss and how he dogged it. He plays when he wants to play. Sometimes there are exceptions to the rule because his talent was just so out of this world. Lawrence Taylor was another one who didn't follow the rules, but Lawrence Taylor was guaranteed to play on Sunday, and you knew what you was going to get. And coach looked past it. Bill Parcells looked past it. Bill Belichick, as his defensive coordinator, looked past it. And so they were able to get away with it. But when you don't have that talent, and it's so obvious that if you might do your job to the best of your ability, that your quarterback, your young quarterback, who's pressing it in his third season, may get the opportunity, may have more opportunity to do something other than continue to run and stagnate in his progress, it would help the team. What is going on in your head for you to think that it's okay not to do your job and then wait for a paycheck? I believe the players get paid on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, one of those days. But to
The
think that you
crazy
deserve the paycheck, man.
the crazy thing is the Bears traded I think either a second or third round draft pick for this guy. Something should have told him if Tomlin was done with him. Hey, we probably should stay away from him.
Yeah.
If Tomlin couldn't fix him, you think Eberflus is gonna fix him?
Absolutely, because Tomlin is one of the more respected coaches, regardless of what people say about him not succeeding or what Bill Cowles plays, all the nonsense that comes out of that. He's a respected player, a respected coach, and
Coach.
players respect him. And he gives you every opportunity. He speaks to you man to man, according to most people. He goes to you man to man. He lets you know what the deal is, lets you know what you have to do to improve if you're going to be in the good graces of the team. And apparently he's done all of that and thought it was best to trade him. So he's off to the next team, and now this
He
guy
was
does this.
probably
You see where he's
laughing.
coming from.
He was probably laughing in the office. Hey, they're gonna offer us a second round pick for this scrub.
And there he goes.
Deal done. Let's do it.
And you cannot hide. When you get to the NFL, you cannot hide from who you are. And on that field with those cameras out there and fans pressuring you, social media being what it is, you're going to have to answer for it. And you can be ignorant and not listen to the calls and the screams of you playing, but you're taking his paycheck. You don't have a
Yeah,
conscience at
but
all. Just going out
he's
there and
got he's
dogging.
got the NFL wide receiver body, man. He's 6'4". He's got height,
Everything.
good size, good speed. I don't get it.
Maybe it's something psychological, man.
He's
In
like
this
the
day and
Ben
age,
Simmons of football.
I don't know. Yeah, and they're both getting paid too. Go figure. Yeah, but with that being said, well, we can move over to college football. At least some of those guys, not necessarily getting paid what these guys are getting paid, but somebody's getting paid in college football. But right now, the top 25, according to the AP, Texas makes its way into the number 4 spot, moving out Ohio State. By the way, Ohio State stays number 4 in the coaches poll. I think AP is more important than the coaches poll. The reason being because these coaches don't watch the games. They give the assignment to some assistant. At least these AP people whose business it is to cover sport and the sport of football
Mm.
watch enough of these games, to have an idea of what team may be good or what team may be bad, but not just going by what someone said. So yeah, I can see, and rightfully so, I guess Texas at number 4, beating Alabama, who was number 3, but with Alabama having the quarterback problems that it had, is it really a big win? Of course, it's a big win. It was in Tuscaloosa, and they did it when I didn't even think they were going to win. Double-digit underdogs came in and won.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. They pretty much had their way with them in the second half,
Mm-hmm.
especially. That was a very impressive win. So they should be ahead of Ohio State. One might even argue they should be ahead of Florida State. Um,
Whoa. I mean, Florida State looked so good against
They
LSU.
did, but I
At
mean,
least
but
LSU was better than
that was
Alabama.
that a neutral field, and you mentioned it was more like a home game
More
for
of a Florida
Florida
State
State.
game. Yeah, it was a home game, de facto
And
home game,
Texas went into Tuscaloosa and they handled them.
and double
And
digits.
Alabama was considered better than LSU also.
Yeah, and that's
So
the thing about this early
who got the better victory is what I'm saying.
Well, on the surface now, when you look at Jalen Monroe and then you look at uh, Jaden Daniels and LSU, Jaden Daniels, I think, is obviously a better quarterback. And I think they got the better quarterback situation in LSU with Garrett Nussmeier being the backup in LSU. So, yeah, I'll think LSU is the better team. And they were missing, what was it? Mace, their top player, defensive player. So Mason. But either way, I think Alabama was okay. Maybe they shouldn't have been as high as they were to start the season, but it's Alabama. So name recognition goes a long way. It's like Notre Dame used to always be in the top of something, regardless of what they had in their team, and everything just played out in the wash by the end of the season, and they were just Notre Dame. But this time I think rightfully so, Texas earned it, and they got where they are, and they're gonna have to play their games anyway. They still have Oklahoma to worry about.
Mhm.
And you know how that Red
But
River
they're going to
rivalry
be a
goes
problem for anybody.
for anybody. And I think they're going to beat Oklahoma. I'm just saying that because of that rivalry, that's at least something to look at. We've seen
Right.
how sketchy that not sketchy, but the way that rivalry's been pretty unpredictable at times, and the way Texas came back years ago and all that other, you know, but Texas is legit this time around. But I'll tell you what, Michigan is not getting enough respect. I think Michigan can even argue to be number one, as we said before the season started. An argument for number one, even against Georgia, as Georgia continues to go through the teams they're going through. Michigan, with J.J. McCarthy, the only returning quarterback from the top four that was announced teams in the beginning of the season, man, efficient as hell, getting his yards. He's still an excellent athlete, just moving along. And it's going to come a time when Michigan's going to have to show improvement. I think they will in flying colors. They will be in the playoffs. I'm thinking right now, unless something catastrophic happens, like Aaron Rodgers goes down. Come on, get out of here with that. But even with that being
Yeah,
said,
but uh, look at their competition also. I'm not
yeah,
saying
exactly.
he's not going to struggle. I'm not
Mhm.
saying he's going to struggle against better teams, but I'm just saying we can't be too impressed. You look at his competition first 2 weeks.
Oh, absolutely. He's doing what he's supposed to do. And I'm doing it. I'm looking at it the same way I looked at Miami when they beat Miami Hurricanes, the way they beat Miami of Ohio. Even though Miami of Ohio is a MAC team, they still had 9 players returning. They were still in the top 25 defensively last season. And they Miami didn't blow them out. Yeah, they beat them really well, but they didn't blow them out like they did FAMU in the past or Bethune Cookman in the past. Those HBCUs they beat by 50 and 60 points, and I still wonder, man, you know what? They could have done something better. There's just something missing with this team, even though there's a blowout. When they blew out or beat Miami of Ohio really well, I saw individually, this team is obviously better than last year's team. This team may have something, and I think what happened with Texas A&M last Saturday night or last Friday night confirmed it. And so, yeah, you can see. I guess if you really look for it, I'm not a Michigan fan to watch like that. I watch enough college football, but I don't watch them like I watch the Canes. I just think Michigan has all the pieces and parts to just really do some things this year with everybody else still trying to find a way for their quarterback to succeed. And so, staying in the
Yeah,
Big Ten,
just get word to Cristobal and say they better not have a letdown against Carolina.
that's the problem though. Against Carolina is where Miami has their biggest issue for some reason. Whether home or away, North Carolina has been a thorn in Miami's butt for years. I don't know why. What's the rhyme reason? I don't know. It just happens. Hopefully, it ends this year, and they're going up to Chapel Hill for that game. Let's hope that the
Get
team
the swagger back.
get the swagger back, go up there and do it to them too, the same way they did it to Texas at the Cotton Bowl when Butch Hadnot was running the ball for Texas back in the early 90s. Let's hope that is something that we can kind of reach from the past with. But staying in the Big Ten, now Ohio State has made it official. Kyle McCord will be the starting quarterback for the entire season. Devin Brown was given opportunities when they could, didn't do much, didn't move the needle, obviously didn't impress the coach. Ryan Day says, Kyle, you're my guy. Maybe because Marvin Harrison Jr. was your teammate in high school. We saw what Marvin just did a couple of days ago. Not against a big team, but he showed that explosiveness.
Yeah, we talked about it. Prior to the season starting, you don't want to have a two quarterback system or even a controversy. So it's good that they settled in on McCord, and now he doesn't have to worry about looking over his shoulder or being pulled out the next series and things of that nature.
Hmm.
And as he already, as you mentioned, he has that connection with the next Heisman winner. Hopefully,
Let's hope he can pick it up because
knock
right now
on
the
wood. So
bill
we're
is
gonna say
pushing
we
the
we were
envelope.
right about one thing. Um, he has that connection, and the more they work, I'm sure the more that connection is going to get stronger. Even
Yeah, and now you get those kinks out of the way with these little teams in the beginning. Even though I believe what was it, Indiana in the beginning, that's not a little team. I mean, it's a Big Ten team, probably not a juggernaut, but certainly a Big Ten conference game. And now, uh, going into the rest of the season, you know who your quarterback is. He could focus on the job at hand. Maybe there's a little bit of dissension in the locker room with Devin Brown being unhappy about not being the guy, but that's what's happened. That happens in college football and in the pros as well. Someone else who might have to look behind his back. We were talking about yesterday, staying in the Big Ten, Mel Tucker, the coach, the coach for the Michigan State Spartans, with his issue, and we talked about that issue yesterday with a rape, not rape advocate, but activist. Obviously, she's against it because she was, well, gang raped years ago by four people, which included two players, a recruit, and another junior college player. Craziness. She was 24 at the time. She's obviously older now. I think she's 50 now. And she said that she did not have any consensual anything with Mel Tucker, whereas he's saying that, yes, he admitted to masturbating on the phone with her. To her chagrin, I guess, she's saying he's lying. He's saying no way. So now they're going back and forth. He's getting lawyers to speak for him now. He's not taking this thing lying down because there's money to lose because of his the contract that he has. Obviously, a morality clause when he signed the 10-year, $95 million contract, making him one of the highest paid coaches, period, in sports. Which I'll keep that for another day. He didn't deserve it, but anyway. But now
put him in the crosshairs. Go for it, man. Come on.
you know
I
what?
can't be the
Mel
only
Tucker
one.
did not deserve that contract. What did he do to get that $95 million contract for 10 years? He absolutely did nothing. He went 11-2, but that's before not doing so well the year before. He follows that up with a 5-7 season. Of course, they're starting 2-0 now. Why? Because they're playing bad teams and you're supposed to be 2-0. Michigan
Sisters of the
State is a
blind.
solid team. Michigan State is a solid team. They've always been a solid team. They've never really been able to get it over the top. Nick Saban was there. They didn't get over the top. George Prince was there. They didn't get over the top. Now he's there. They're not getting over the top. And if he stays with that team, I think they're going to stay that way. But giving him that kind of money when no other coach got that kind of money, Nick Saban had to do what he's done: 7 national championships in total, 1 with LSU, 6 with Alabama, just to get the contract he has. Kirby Smart, getting the contract he had to be a defensive coordinator, had to be part of Saban's crew, get his own crew. Now he's getting money, but he's also a 2-time defending champ, looking for a three-peat for the first time since World War II, pre-World War II at that. There are so many coaches out there who deserve that money, and Mel Tucker was not one of those coaches. Now we can move on from that. Yeah, right. And hey, some good news though out of Coral Gables with Miami. Miami safety Cam Kitchens now feeling good, feeling better, at least according to Mario Cristobal. I don't know if he's out of the hospital yet. If you watched the game, he was injured against Texas A&M. I don't know what the injury specifically was, but initially I thought it was something serious because his body looked pretty lifeless out there. And I was like, man, we've seen paralysis in football before. We saw how people's bodies look because of paralysis on a football field. And the cart came out. They had to put him on the cart. They had to rush him to the hospital. And now it seems like it's good news. He's going to be better. I don't care if he plays again this season. You want this dude to be healthy. I understand he was an All-American going into the season. I understand he's going to be a high draft pick or still has an opportunity to do that. I would rather see a happy, healthy guy than a football player risking it again. Kind of like Hamlin yesterday playing. He didn't play. DeMar Hamlin didn't play yesterday. So that's another thing we didn't mention, but he didn't play yesterday. A healthy scratch. I don't think anyone's crying over it. I like to see him play because he loves to play, but I can do without the drama if something were to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be scared for Damar Hamlin playing, man. I don't know. I don't know if I'd even want to watch him. him playing. It's just it's a scary situation to me.
Hmm.
And you mentioned you just want the kid to get healthy, and that's the most important thing, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Someone's health. You want them to be healthy. Now, if he comes back and plays, that's a blessing. So good luck to him.
Yeah, he loves playing. Obviously, all these players who get out there on this level, they love playing. Their aspiration is to get into the NFL like any other player who's a top player. He's an All American. I mean, that's your goal is to go to the NFL as well. I'm sure it is. He's looking forward to it. His family's looking forward to it. But I think they're also looking forward to him being home and being healthy and not being in a wheelchair if that were going to happen. So yeah, I just thought that I'll just mention that, not just because of being a Kane fan, but that's something that everybody had a chance to see and someone commented on. So now we're in September. Now basketball talk is starting to heat up a little bit. We know college basketball will be coming, but the NBA, training camps are going to start opening up. Media days are going to start, and then we're going to talk about preseason games. But before that happens, Kevin
Are
Porter
we?
Jr.
I don't talk preseason games, man.
Of course, no, we don't talk preseason games. But let's look forward to what's coming on in the regular season, seeing how those guys don't even really play.
I told you I'm on record. I don't watch the NBA until Christmas Day.
Oh, I don't know. I just got to see how where the Knicks are going to lead me, to the cliff or to something else. Every year it's been like that for a long time. But Kevin Porter, I'm sure you might have heard about it. His altercation with his girlfriend in New York, bro. It's worse than I thought.
Sound like a beat down, not an altercation.
You're talking about a strangulation, and then now he damaged her vertebrae. Come on, bro. When you stomped her out too.
Yeah, that's an ugly situation, man. I don't know what happened between the two, but he obviously has issues to go that far.
Yeah, it doesn't. It shouldn't go. Look, everybody has issues in their relationship, but I don't believe it should ever get to that point to where you're beating a woman like that or beating a woman, period. Seriously, when you're an athlete, when you look at these guys in person, you see how big they are. And if they're not big, you just see how defined they
I
are.
mean,
This dude's a strong
considering her
fool.
injuries, he assaulted her.
He is
It
so rich.
wasn't
That's what he
it
did.
wasn't domestic violence. It was a mugging,
He beat her like a stranger.
right?
And wow, does he play this season? That's what I'm wondering.
If it was in the NBA, he'd probably come back second half of the season because Silver has no balls. But
Oh yeah, you know what? After what happened with John Morant, bro, twice, and he did what he
but
did with him.
I think Goodell, they're gonna do their due diligence, gather information, get the facts, and then he's gonna drop that hammer.
Oh yeah, Goodell gets you. Period. He gets you. He'll smile
Hmm.
on your face and give you the longest suspension you ever had. I mean, these are dudes that just got caught gambling on the premise of their team or in an NFL facility, and they're out for 6 weeks, like Jameis Williams up there in Detroit. And, even Calvin Ridley here in Jacksonville had to miss pretty much a whole season before he came to Jacksonville. Roger Goodell doesn't play, but you know what? I think Kevin Porter may miss a halftime, and he may come back and learn his lesson. That's probably what they're going to do over here. It's a mess what's going on, but that's serious business. We'll look forward to that or look at that as it plays itself out. Finally, LeBron James is not happy. I know people don't care a lot of times whether he's happy or not, but LeBron doesn't like what happened with FIBA. America's he wants to do like they when Jack Johnson was champ, wipe the golden smile off that black guy's face. That's what they did when they was looking for someone to come beat him as a great white hope. Well, we're looking for the best of America to go out and show what the deal is in Paris 2024. LeBron James wants to do it, and he's recruiting Steph Curry. He's recruiting KD. Kyrie Irving said he's down. We're talking about getting it back, showing the supremacy of basketball in the U.S. again, because they haven't won anything in the world, according to track runners. Noah Lyles.
The loss is fresh on everybody's minds. They lost 3 out of the last 4 games. They didn't even get a bronze medal. That's pretty embarrassing. But when the Olympics actually come around, is he still going to have that same energy? I mean, we're talking about a 40-year-old who load manages. If he wants to go for a chip, playing in the Olympics is going to hinder that operation. He's going to have to expend more energy sooner. He's not going to be as fresh unless he takes 20 games off, from Christmas to February. He'll probably have to do that. But then what would the Lakers' record be? and he'll
Yeah.
come back, activate playoff mode, and finish in the 11th seed and miss the playoffs again, like the last time he activated it.
Activation, man. You might need a Jerry curl this time to activate that. But I tell you,
I'm
you
just
know
saying,
what?
I just gotta mention that, man, because people always say his DICK riders, man, he can make any team better, this and that. Oh, but you forget that time when he activated playoff mode and didn't make the playoffs. What happened?
That's exactly what happened.
The
But
team
you know
got
what?
worse when he came back.
He doesn't have to be the top player out there. We saw when MJ played in '92, he didn't have to be the top player. Charles Barkley led the team in scoring. You know, MJ was just MJ. No one looked at him any different after that game, still knowing that MJ was still the best player on the planet. I don't think a 40-year-old LeBron has to really worry about that. You know, when that happens, his ego may make him want to do something different. But with all of those players he's trying to recruit, you know, those scoring, the guys who can score. I know Anthony Davis is probably going to be there too. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to do
Lakers
everything.
would be screwed if both of them play.
You know,
They
you know
they'd
what?
be
I
they'd be
understand that
screwed.
part too. But
I,
yeah,
if I'm a genie bus, I trade them both. See what I could get because they're just gonna break. They're gonna break down. They won't be around.
well, I didn't even think about that part. Well, completely with AD. You know, with LeBron, I was like, yeah, LeBron, but I think AD would also be someone you need that big presence there. But
But
there's
I
a
mean,
lot of
the
American
names
players,
you're
like John
mentioning,
Moran as well.
the
We can
names
say,
you're mentioning, Steph. Steph's 34, 35 now, right?
mm-hmm.
Uh, these guys are no spring chickens. They need their time off in the summertime, man.
Hey, spend a couple of weeks over there in Paris. You know, we Mon Cherie, go out there, play some basketball, show them that America is still dominant and that FIBA was just something they were messing around with. And then we can tell Noah Lyles, they're world champs.
Um,
Now
I,
what, Noah? And
they
you
should
better win
get
the gold now, Noah. Get
they
out of
should
here.
get they should get guys like Jamal Murray and Devin Booker.
Yeah,
Um, was Middleton from the Bucks, the guys who can put the ball in the basket. But then
and John Moran.
they also need some defenders because that was their problem. They got
Yeah,
killed in the paint. Guys standing in the corner all alone for open threes. Man, those Euros, that's what they do, man. They
yeah,
shoot
that's it.
threes.
Basic
If you
basketball.
if you can't defend the 3-point line, you're in trouble. And then if they beat you on the glass too, oh forget it. And that's what happened.
Well, hopefully that American toughness will show itself to be true in Paris 2024. We'll
Get
see what the
Chet
posture is.
Holmgren, get some height on the team.
Chet Holmgren, some hype, but they talking about that bulk is not going to be there just yet. You know, bring
But he,
Carroll, man. Obviously he can bang too and get the
yeah,
point. So yeah, it's gonna be something to look forward to. Obviously, that's way away, and we'll see how this team comes together, and we'll be around to talk about it when it does happen. But this show comes to a conclusion after we talked about Aaron Rodgers and what happened with the Jets. We went through the NFL, a little bit of NBA, and some college football. So we'll be back tomorrow, which is Wednesday, and we'll come up with something because something's always happening. We didn't think we'd be talking about this game as long as we did today, but we did because Aaron Rodgers gave us a gift that kept on giving.
yeah.
So until tomorrow.
Trav had his first hit list today.
Yeah, and I wasn't even trying. It's just come on,
Put him
talk
in the
about Mel
crosshairs.
Tucker. Well, we'll talk. I'm sure he'll be in the news again. I mean, he'll be in the news constantly now from now on. But our Trav, he's biased, and it's time to sign off. Peace.
Peace.